Welcome to the Trellix Spotlight series. My name is Nick, and I will be your host. Today's session will focus on an overview of Network Detection and Response, or NDR. This webinar will be recorded. If you prefer not to participate in the recorded session, please feel free to disconnect at this time. A link to today's recorded presentation will be emailed to all registered attendees. This webinar is a brief overview covering common use cases and scenarios regarding this topic. It is not intended to be all-encompassing. If assistance is needed, please contact Trellix Technical Support. If you have questions during the webinar, please type them in the Q&A window. This webinar may run longer or shorter based on your participation, and we recommend asking as many questions as you can to make the most of this series. If the Q&A window is not displayed, click the tab at the bottom of your session window and click on the Q&A icon. We will answer the questions during the final section of this webinar. If you experience any audio issues during the webcast, please drop and attempt to reconnect. Our speakers today are Owen Edwards, Director of Product Management for Network Security, Gus Arias, Solutions Architect for Network Security, and Tom Stitt, Director of Product Marketing for Network Security. Owen brings over 2 decades of tech industry experience. His background spans product management, software development, and cybersecurity with significant roles at Adaptive Mobile Security and Microsoft. Owen specializes in messaging protection and signaling cybersecurity and cloud-based solutions, driving product innovation in cybersecurity. Gus is Principal Global Solutions Architect at Trellix, bringing extensive experience in network, endpoint, and data security. With nearly 3 years at Trellix and 8 years at McAfee, Gus specializes in threat detection, incident response, and security operations. His career progression and multiple certifications demonstrate his commitment to advancing cybersecurity solutions. Tom is a cybersecurity expert specializing in advanced threat solutions, network detection and response, and endpoint detection and response. With over 20 years of experience at IBM ISS, SourceFire, Cisco, ExtraHop, Tufin, and Critical Start, Tom drives innovation in network security, malware protection, and security policy automation for hybrid enterprises. Now let's get into the agenda for today's webinar. First, we'll get an overview of NDR. Then we'll get a look at what's new in NDR 3.0 and 3.1. Then, we'll take a look at UI dashboards and enhancements. We'll get a closer look at Trellix Wise, and then we'll see a demo of NDR in action, get a look at the future roadmap, and then we'll open it up for some Q&A. Now let me pass it over to our presenters. Ladies and gentlemen, Owen, Gus, and Tom.
Okay, thanks, Nick. Excited to be here and to talk about our NDR solution. So the goal of our NDR solution is elimination of blind spots and disrupting attackers at every stage. Next slide, please, Tom. So complex networks, they leave blind spots, and the complexity and vastness of modern networks create significant visibility gaps. These gaps can prevent the effective monitoring of network traffic and identification of unauthorized access or anomalies. Consequently, security teams struggle to detect and mitigate threats promptly, and this leaves the networks vulnerable to cyber attacks and data breaches. Many organizations are also seeing an increase in assets to protect, but they're also seeing the number of security vulnerabilities increase too. And the attackers are hiding on endpoints. They're increasingly leveraging sophisticated techniques to hide their presence, evading traditional detection mechanisms. And by exploiting vulnerabilities and using stealthy malware, they maintain a foothold within the systems, and they're undetected before they act. And then, based on reports that we've seen, there's a high rate of repeated ransomware after being hit the first time. This points to the importance of network threat investigation to discover root causes. Investigations are also complex and take too long. A large number of alerts go almost ignored, almost 35%. This is due to low fidelity alerts that require significant investigations to understand scope and context before deeming them harmless. And the high number of false positives overwhelms the SOCs. The challenge organizations face in securing their networks make Trellix NDR a great solution for disrupting threats before they become a breach. Next slide, Tom. So our approach to NDR builds on our heritage of innovation in network threat detection and the threat intelligence research that we perform. Our focus is on driving 3 outcomes: eliminating blind spots, disrupting attackers, and speeding up investigation and response. Building on our best-in-class traditional perimeter or north-south protection, like with our IPS, we can extend visibility and detection into east-west, as well as with our NDR sensors. Our solution monitors network activity across the extended enterprise with coverage for on-prem and cloud environments. Additionally, we have added asset discovery, which classifies and finds assets on the network to provide critical context during investigations and responses. We know that prevention is still a key requirement for network security. However, compromise is not a matter of if, but when. And network security has to be able to identify threats throughout the kill chain, not just at initial compromise. To do this effectively requires a layered approach, leveraging multiple detection techniques across a variety of sources, from full packet, layer 7 metadata, NetFlow records, and other logs that we have access to, and also the mapping of threats to where they fit in within the kill chain. We use the latest AI-driven detection science alongside traditional detection techniques of signatures, signature lists, behavior analysis to detect known, unknown, and emerging threats. As I mentioned earlier, 35% of alerts go ignored for a number of reasons. We focus on delivering the highest fidelity alerts possible to eliminate noise from false positives, to improve detection of real threats, and to provide the context needed to speed up investigation and responses. We do this by automating routine and time-consuming tasks, supported with risk-based prioritization and enriching alerts with threat intelligence, thereby reducing alert fatigue and helping analysts prioritize critical issues. As an added benefit, we also provide guided investigations and workflows which help elevate less experienced analysts, especially when used with our Trellix Wise, which is our generative AI capability. Next slide, Tom. Other NDR vendors have evolved from NTA or network monitoring solutions, thereby offering very little SecOps-focused capabilities or detections. Our story comes from a background in core security operations and converges on network, endpoint, data, and collaboration security. Very few other players in the market have this. Our products, whether originating from FireEye or McAfee, have actually been battle tested against very sophisticated attacks, and they continue to be used even today at the center of customer security operations. Combining the best of FireEye and McAfee, we have been able to continue to evolve as the threat landscape evolves, while continuously defending and protecting our customers with no compromise whatsoever. Evolution into NDR is a testament to that commitment to customers. Next slide, please. The NDR solution is a primary pillar to support the Trellix XDR platform. Trellix NDR is the layer that focuses on SOC workflows for investigation and response, providing intuitive visualizations of the network telemetry provided by the components seen at the bottom of this architectural diagram. Enrichment and analytics provide higher fidelity alerting on the alerts, metadata, and flow records that are submitted from the network sensors, and it provides more context through the correlation of the multiple data sources. Integration with existing infrastructure is critical, and out of the box, our NDR integrates with our IPS, Network Security NX, and Network Forensics PX, and we are adding integrations all the time. Not all of the components are required to get started, but each provides additional visibility into what's happening on your network while providing the protection use cases. With visibility, we have a view of network activities that lets us identify known and unknown threats, enabling swift action against potential breaches. Go to the next slide to look deeper into our NDR sensors. The NX is what we say are NDR focused, in that its detection capabilities can be focused on the traffic profiles of east-west or north-south, depending on where it is deployed in the network. And its engines can detect the likes of lateral movement, beaconing, and domain generation algorithms, plus others. The NX can also perform targeted or selective packet capture, which is essential when investigating or threat hunting. The IPS is what we call NDR ready, in that while it is protecting the periphery as its primary use case, its alerts, layer 7 metadata, and net flow records are submitted to the NDR module for additional visibility and further analysis and correlation. Both sensors can be deployed as hardware or virtual appliances on-prem and also in the cloud. They also provide full visibility into encrypted traffic. In addition to the telemetry they provide, they also operate as NDR security control points for blocking or quarantining compromised devices. Our NDR platform also supports the integration with our network forensics PX product, providing full packet capture, which can be used to reconstruct sessions within the NDR console. The NX has the IVX sandbox built in, and the IPS can also integrate with it as an option. The IVX provides file and URL detonation, detecting zero-day and unknown threats. And lastly, we can interface with Sky-High's secure web gateway and firewalls and proxies for security controls. All this adds up to provide our multi-layered visibility, detection, investigation, and response. We'll move to the next slide, please, Tom. And now I'll actually hand over to Tom to go over what we've recently released and the benefits they deliver.
Thank you, Owen. For our next section, we're going to be covering the feature and functionality of our most recent releases of NDR. That'll be 3.0 and 3.1. And these features cover new detections, ML-based detections, as well as asset discovery. As you'll see in both some of the screenshots that I have as part of this section and the demo that Gus will do for us later, you can see we've made significant enhancements around the user interface, as well as adding some low-level capabilities like purge policies and accelerated scoping for retrieving PCAPs. In addition, we have one exciting new feature that I want to talk about, and we'll also show that in the demo as well. So from an asset discovery perspective, this is a net new feature. As Owen was talking about earlier, some of our core use cases is around visibility, so eliminating blind spots. And part of that is being able to identify assets and correlate those assets with users and gathering all that information. So there's really two parts of that. One is doing the asset discovery, and the other is also leveraging the Trellix login collector. And so this allows us to not only identify assets and classify them on the network, but also the user and host name details along with that. So it provides a really rich profile of the different assets or entities that are on the network. When it comes to NDR, that's critically important. But as you'll see later, when it gets into the investigation, having that contextual information can speed up investigation. And as we get into some of that Gen AI type of discovery and investigation, it really allows automation of that as well. So visibility is a key area, and we'll continue to focus on that going forward as well. So as part of the UI, there's a whole tab at the dashboard level that gives visibility into network traffic, so overviews as well as devices, part of that device classification, as well as active ports and top protocols. So this is that snapshot view that allows somebody to kind of see, are there any trends, are there any spikes, or are there any issues that I can drill into? And then as you drill into the asset side of things, or the device side of the information, you also get to discover, are there any alerts associated with that as well? In addition, we've got, and so it's key to keep in mind. So one of the things that Owen talked about earlier is just our sensor strategy as it relates to NDR. So NX has been equipped with ML-based detections for a number of years, and then IPS. So part of this is taking some of that expertise and knowledge and porting those detections that are on the NX up to our NDR platform. And that allows us to leverage a lot of that layer 7 metadata that we get from an IPS. Maybe you have the Trellix IPS only deployment. Now you're able to take advantage of those ML-based detections at the NDR platform level as well. And then for our NX users, you still have those at the sensor level ML detections, and now you also have those leveraging the layer 7 metadata as well for at the NDR or the broader visibility as well. So data exfiltration is one of those, one of the initial 3 of the ML-based detections that we've ported up to the NDR platform. And so this is really, detecting data exfiltrations. And so it's one of our does require a 3-day for initial baseline, and it analyzes NetFlow, TLS, DNS, and HTTP metadata. Beaconing. This is one of those things where attackers use beaconing to be able to receive commands from CNC. So our engine will detect the periodic connections requests from a victim system to an external CNC server, and does not require any baselining or learning required. The next domain generation algorithm, or DGA detection, also another technique used by malware to identify CNC traffic. In this case, we're monitoring and analyzing thousands of DNS resolution requests. Our engine computes the AGD probability to detect the DGA domains. So again, no baselining and learning period required. So in the context of maybe a multi-sensor deployment where you might have NX deployed and IPS deployed, as it's sending that layer 7 metadata up to NDR, these are some of the machine learning algorithms that are being deployed. So in addition to ML-based detections, we also have dynamic threat intelligence. So this is the ability to get those real-time threat intelligence, including malware profiles and vulnerability exploits. And in addition to insights from Trellix, APT, Discovery Center, and third parties. So this allows you as a customer and leveraging the NDR platform to get those updates. And behind that is obviously the Trellix threat intelligence capabilities going across the entire platform. And then the global threat intelligence integration, this allows NDR to query the GTI for file hash reputations for files detected in layer 7 metadata. So what this means is, in addition to the primary detections that we get from these from our individual sensors, as they're gathering and sending that layer 7 metadata up to NDR, we're also doing that file reputation lookup, which allows us to really cover a broader set of information. So that if we see a file on the network, even though it may not have passed directly through one of our sensors, we're able to do that file hash match and provide an alert. And again, both of these provide a lot of context when we get into that third set of use cases, which is investigation and response. So having all that context and allowing it to be pulled together in the context of an incident is critically important. So taking a look at some of the dashboards for our threats. So starting off at the dashboard level, we have our detection dashboard. So as you would expect, it provides a high-level prioritization of some of the most important activities from a threat perspective that are happening on the network. So it gives you your top alerts, your different types of alert types, your top hosts with alerts, and any network anomalies, things that might spike or things that might indicate some type of trouble. In addition to who are the top targets, and then who are the top attackers. So you get that high level view of where are these attacks coming from and where are they targeting in my network. And of course, there's always the ability to drill into that information to get into for a particular host, to be able to filter on a lot of different parameters and look at specific types of threats. So looking at those top threats, types, and tactics really helps you pinpoint what's going on. And then, as we'll take a look in a minute, and then in the demo, it really gives you the ability to then do that investigation and quickly determine if something is real or not. In addition to that high-level threat dashboard or detection dashboard, we also have a MITRE attack dashboard. So every attack is mapped to a TTP within the MITRE framework. In addition, we're also monitoring, what are the alerts that we're seeing over time. And so if I were to click on this, and Gus will show this in the demo, is that you're able to set your different parameters so you can see events happening over time, and those events are mapped to the MITRE framework. And you can see this is a focused view. So these are only the alerts that we see mapped to the different phases of the overall kill chain. You can also take a look at that view in the expanded view. So now you have all the different types of TTPs and attacks, and the ones in green are specifically mapped to the attacks that we're seeing over time. So every attack is mapped. And then a new feature, it's currently in beta, but it is available for customers with 3.1, actually with 3.0 and 3.1. So this is a new capability. So this is Trellix Wise. Trellix Wise is our Gen AI capability. And so this feature or capability really is focused on improving detection efficacy. So improved MITRE detection capabilities, alert enrichment. So one of the challenges that analysts often have is gathering all the contextual information that goes along with an alert and being able to do the investigation with that. It helps provide automated investigation with timelines of events. So it stitches together not only the alert information, but all that contextual information as well. And then it provides remediation and triage steps and assistance. So a very powerful new capability that enhance the investigation and response capabilities. So it's not as sexy as, say, some of your dashboards that have the red, yellow, and green lights to let you know what's going on. However, it is a powerful investigative tool. As you can see here over on the right, you see these little pop-ups like summarize the alert, top affected entities, the MITRE findings, remediation steps, a knowledge graph, which basically outlines all the different steps that happen, sequence diagram, and more things to know. So when we click in this in the demo, you'll see how powerful this is, because it basically is an automated security analyst as part of the NDR platform. Now we're going to dig into the demo section. Gus Arias, solution architect for our NDR solution, is going to walk us through the Trellix NDR demo. Take it away, Gus.
Thank you, Tom. So what I want to cover now is hit some of the points that Tom covered during the webinar. We want to be able to show how our NDR solution can give you the visibility. Also being able to have the threat efficacy and have the high fidelity alerts that you can then take and go through an investigative workflow to understand the attack, get the right context to the attack, and then be able to start scoping and mitigating that specific attack here. So what you are seeing here is our detection dashboard. And I like this dashboard because you see what are the top alerts that are being seen in the environment. You could also pivot and look at it from an alert type. Is it a critical alert? Is it a major alert? Is it an event-based alert? But then also you can see where my top hosts are. Who are my victims? Who are my attackers? And then from a network anomalies perspective, all those different machine learning models that are running in our NDR solution, you're able to start grouping and identifying where these anomalies are coming from, who is the attacker, etc. So for example, here, right, you'll be able to create different filters, whether it's going to be domain generation algorithm, exfiltration, or even beaconing. And then also, and this looks great in a SOC big screen, is understanding and seeing from a geolocation perspective where my victims are located. And of course, where are my attackers located? Now, what we want to do here is let's take and look at this from a attack details perspective, start our investigative workflow from the dashboard. So we'll pick this first one here, which is going to be a critical alert. It is a malware callback alert that's being picked up by our network security solution. So let's take a look at the first one. Now here, we are able to get a little bit more details into the attack. Source IP address, target IP, what are the ports, and things like that. Now, if you want a little bit more detail, you can drill down and get additional information, whether it's going to be a tactic, if it does identify that, or if you want to look at the raw JSON information, right, you can pull that from this alert view. Another thing that you can do from here is create your own search query, expand your search, whether you want to go expand this beyond port 53, you want to look at all communications between these two IP addresses, and then also be able to reconstruct that packet capture if you're using the PX solution or packet capture solution to be able to build that PCAP, be able to extract artifacts from that investigation. And we're going to go a little deeper into Trellix Wise, but I want to show you a different way to pivot into that investigation. What I'm going to do here is I'm going to clear my filters, and I'm going to go back to my dashboard. And in this case, instead of looking at the detection, we're going to pivot over to the MITRE attack matrix dashboard. So this is really good, right? We can go here and do a replay of all the different attacks that we've seen, the techniques and the tactics that have been executed in the environment. That's what we're showing here. Now, if you want to expand this and look at the entire MITRE matrix mapping for different tactics and things like that, you can do that. And then you can see highlighted in green here whenever there was an alert tied to the specific tactic or the specific technique. So let's go back more into the focus view here. So in this case here, I am a level 2 or level 3 analyst. So now I want to be doing some further proactive investigations or searching. And I see that we have exfiltration activity happening. We did have one alert that occurred in the last couple of days. So now let me go focus on that investigation here. So from here, it allows me to pivot into the alert details view that we just showed earlier. From here, I can see this is a smart vision event. So I know it comes in from our network security tool. And of course, that smart vision is going to be tied into that east and west traffic. Think about lateral movement, pivoting, leveraging legitimate Windows administrative tools, which in some cases, right, may not be malicious, but depending on what that threat actor is doing, right, they could do bad things. And in this case, we saw some exfiltration of data. Now, let's go into a little deeper and get some information on this detail. In the prior alert we looked at, we talked about the asset details, the attack details, and other items that are part of the alert details. But in this case, let's focus on Trellix Wise, our GenAI capability that's built into our NDR solution. So going deeper into Trellix Wise, this gives, for example, let's say we have a junior analyst or a level 1 analyst that needs a little more information and understanding this specific attack. So we talked about this attack when it was more of a smart vision, which is going to be an east-west type of attack. So think about post-breach detection and response. Here we can easily summarize the alert, understand what happened in plain language, given the ability to really have who is impacted, where did it come from, and what other things happened during this specific alert. Another piece here is understanding who has been impacted. Who are the entities? What are the IP addresses? Who are the hosts that have seen this specific alert? In this case, we see 2. Right? There's a source IP, and of course, we know that it was an FTP transferred that was alerted on in this case here. Now, understanding the techniques and the tactics from a MITRE attack matrix kill chain is important. And this what allows you to have a quick read into what is the specific technique or tactic. And in this case, it's exfiltration over an alternative protocol, FTP. So you'll have the details here. And again, just think about being able to start building the story for your junior level, your level 1 analyst as they're looking at this solution here. And then, of course, right, remediation steps, right? As you're doing the investigation, you're of course building context. You start to scope, and now we want to start mitigating and containing this type of attack in the environment. So again, this gives you that little story and gives you a nice little mapping of what are the steps that I need to do to start remediation steps for this alert. The other piece, and this is one of my favorite parts here, is a knowledge graph, right? Understand the sequence of the attack. So here, you're able to see that this IP address was able to connect to an FTP server. And of course, in this case, we start seeing some uploads and some transfers between that endpoint and that FTP server. So it gives you that logical view of what happened. And then also from a sequence perspective, it's really understanding how the whole process started, right? In this case, we know that cmd.exe, right, executed something, made that FTP connection. Of course, we saw that transfer of that file over to the FTP server. And then the other piece, maybe you want to know a little bit more about what happened with this specific alert. Now your analyst can interact, ask questions of Trellix Wise and leveraging AI to go and get additional information, additional context when you're doing your investigation. So I'll just do a simple natural language query to Trellix Wise. So I'll ask it questions, and then it'll go back based on the data and information that we have gathered, done cross-sensor correlation within our machine learning models and our NDR solution, can go out there and query that information and give you a result back. Right? In this case here, we saw nothing else, right, that was involved other than these two IP addresses there. So again, giving your analyst time to ask questions and expand and get more information and context of the solution. So we talked about the visibility dashboards. We talked about the MITRE attack matrix, the attack details of the alert, and then also pivoted into Trellix Wise, our AI's capability within NDR. The other piece that's important is the visibility, right? Having the visibility of the traffic that is in the environment, what's being seen across your network. So NDR is trying to get all that information on the layer 7 data, metadata from your different sensors that are deployed in your environment. We start building asset mappings, start having traffic patterns, overviews, flows, and things like that, understanding who are your top talkers, understanding what are your active ports or top protocols that are seen in the environment. And as you can see here, all these hyperlinks here allow me to go pivot into a more detailed view for that specific asset or that specific protocol or IP address, for example. Now, the middle part, when we're talking about devices here, when we talk about visibility, it's important to know what's out there so you know how to protect it. And here we're start building that passive list, start putting all these different devices into different categories where you can say I have 10 domain controllers, or maybe I have SMTP servers, or maybe have some unknown OT device that's sitting on the network that may be doing some callback activity there. And it allows you to be able to drill down into that system, be able to look into additional details of that system, how many events and alerts are seen for those systems. And of course, from there, start another workflow from an investigative perspective. So real quick, I'll close off. And again, we focused on the visibility through detections. We focus on being able to do the investigative workflows by leveraging the MITRE attack matrix, and then tie it into our GenAI capability with Trellix Wise. And then, of course, the visibility from an asset perspective, learning the environment and identifying those rogue systems that are sitting out there talking, communicating internal and external to your environment. So at that point, I'll close off here, and I will pass it over to Tom and to Oam, and they will start covering some of the roadmap and future items for our NDR solution. Tom?
Thanks, Gus. Now I will give a talk over our NDR roadmap, what we recently released and what we're working on. So recently this year, we've had a couple of releases. So we've introduced new dashboards, so new threat visibility and MITRE attack and asset dashboards to enable the analysts to to start their investigations and to see what activity is happening on the network. We've also taken some machine learning detections, as was discussed earlier, from the likes of NX and moved them into NDR. So these will be the DGA, beaconing, and data exfiltration machine learning detection algorithms. They now will become available for IPS traffic and other traffic, and not just NX traffic. Asset discovery, as mentioned earlier, was added into the release to automatically detect and classify assets that are discovered on the network, and it's especially useful for detecting unknown assets, or perhaps assets that don't have an agent running on them. We've integrated with our GTI, our Global Threat Intelligence, for file reputation. So files that are sent to us in the layer 7 data, we will get their reputation score from GTI. On the sensors then, so our NX sensor and our IPS sensors, their performance are being improved on both the physical appliances and the virtual appliances. We've also got cloud native integrations into such as AWS and Microsoft Azure, and then later on we will be working on GCP. We also added some threat detections with our AI and additional signatures. And in our earlier release, we've integrated with Trellix Wise, so allowing for a summarization of alerts and for getting additional information on what actions the analyst should take. The next releases that we're looking at, we're focusing on the likes of an analyst springboard, and this is where we're providing very rich and very deep prioritization of the severity of alerts, of assets, and communications that are taking place between assets. And this allows the analyst as a springboard or a starting point on what investigations they should take. Furthering our machine learning, then we've got some DNS tunneling exploits that we're detecting, and this works in conjunction with the sensors, where the DNS layer 7 traffic is intercepted and passed to the machine learning algorithms in NDR, and this allows us to detect the traffic that's being sent down a DNS tunnel to perform command and control callbacks or to do slow data exfiltration. Additionally, we've started to introduce lateral movement weaks indicators of compromise into the likes of the IPS. This means that the IPS will detect certain behavior that's indicative of lateral movement, but not conclusively. But this data is then sent to the NDR module, where further machine learning is acted upon it to detect lateral movement. This is something you can't do with NetFlow records alone, but the combination of a sensor and your NDR module is able to achieve this. We've improved our alert enrichment and summarization, so usability improvements to focus the analyst on which alerts they need to investigate, and also provided them the detail on alerts that help them triage whether an alert is false positive or a true positive. On the sensor again, so we're furthering our enhancements to the sensor. So our ambition with the NDR sensor is to achieve a 100 gig sensor, and we're moving in that direction through focusing on uplifting the performance, but additionally on focusing on the traffic profiles that is used for where the sensor is deployed in the network. Cloud native integrations is also continuing, as mentioned, with the likes of Google Cloud integrations. We're looking then to productize our Trellix Wise integration. As mentioned, we have it as a beta version at the moment, but we will be prioritizing that as rolling it out to additional customers beyond the beta. In the future, or the things that are in progress as proof of concepts or that we're exploring, is guiding SOC workflows. So really being able to take advances from the analyst springboard, and also use Trellix Wise to guide the analyst into their investigations from where they start, to getting to them to the detail of where they need to get to, and what actions to take when they have sufficient detail, and to do all this with a minimal amount of user interaction. With case management, we are to allow users who have triaged similar alerts to group them together into a single case, so that they can be collaborated with others to investigate. This will also integrate with the likes of the ticketing system for raising tickets to other departments. On integrations, we have a long list of integrations, but the ones that we're prioritizing in the near future is integration with our EPO, with our endpoint HX, and also with our XDR for streaming our alerts to the XDR installation. We'll also be integrating with the likes of Chronicle to use Chronicle as our data lake for all the alerts, and to enable Chronicle to be used as a base for our NDR. For IoT and OT networks, we're also integrating with the likes of Nozomi Guardian, which will allow us to get asset and alerts that the Nozomi Guardian OT threat solution provides. Additional machine learning detection, so behavioral and traffic analysis are being expanded. We're looking at the likes of newly registered domains. We're also looking at things like weak signatures, weak certificates, and where they're being used, or where expired certificates are being used. And also being able to use retrospective analysis to be able to look back and apply the recent detections to historic data. On visibility enhancements, so improving our asset discovery with additional capabilities to further get to the metadata associated with assets, so that we can provide more context on the asset, whether it's a priority asset or whether it's a server endpoint, and what applications are running on it. And we'll further continue our goal to achieve the 100 gigabit NDR sensor. And then for Trellix Wise, we're going to deepen our integration with Trellix Wise to make it more seamless with the analysts' workflows, and the alert triage processes. And that's the conclusion of the roadmap. Next slide, please. And now I'll turn it back over to Nick to continue the session.
Thanks, Owen, Gus, and Tom. As a reminder for everyone, Trellix Education Services offers exceptional training to go along with our award-winning products. If you would like to learn more, please visit the website listed on your screen to see all of our offerings. Are you wanting to learn more about upcoming Trellix product features and innovations? Join Trellix technical experts in a weekly 30-minute Tech Talk webinar series. Every week, you'll get a peek under the hood at Trellix technology and see a short demo spotlighting key capabilities from across the industry's most comprehensive portfolio of cybersecurity solutions. Now let's get our Q&A session started. I see we have several questions, but it's not too late to add your question. Please type it in the Q&A window to submit. Additionally, take a moment to fill out the survey. Your feedback and suggestions are always appreciated. Do I have to have all of the Trellix sensors for NDR to work?
Hi, Nick. Yeah, I can answer that. No, you don't. We take the telemetry data from the IPS, the NX, PX. So any of these are considered NDR sensors or sources of data. So to get started, we just take data from the sensor that's already there, and we can expand as we want to increase the visibility.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that one. Does NDR integrate with endpoint?
I can take that here. The answer is yes. So we can integrate with HX, our forensic capability, that allows us to be able to index the host information, and also as you're doing an investigation, looking at an alert within NDR, you are able to go and retrieve username information of the logged on user on that system. Or did you have anything else to add on what's coming up more on the endpoint integration?
Yeah, we're gonna deepen our integration certainly with EPO, so that not only are we going to understand what's running on the asset, we're able on the endpoint, we're able to correlate that with our asset discovery, so that we know how vulnerable an asset actually is, and what is running on it. And this will also enable us to highlight when an asset actually doesn't even have an endpoint. So we're able to show that we've discovered assets that aren't protected, that haven't got endpoint or can't have endpoint, in fact.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you for those answers. Do NDR 3.0 or NDR 3.1 map to NX FEOS 10.x?
Okay, I can take that question. And if I understand the question, the support for NDR in NX came in the 10.x release, the Buena release. So the answer, as long as you're 10x and newer, you're able to send your layer 7 metadata and information up to NDR.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that one. Will asset discovery info be sent to Helix XDR?
That's a great question. So at the moment, asset discovery is exposed via an API. So today, you'd have to call an API to get the data to send it to Helix. In our 4.0 release in Q1 next year, that information will be automatically published to Helix XDR.
Yeah, and let me add a couple of things there from a RESTful API perspective. What's available today within the RESTful API with NDR, you are able to get information back from asset discovery, getting a number of total assets and categories, and then also, of course, be able to pull the asset details from that API.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you both for that. Oh, can you speak to, on the demo, was the demo of Network Investigator, the web UI, interacting with NX systems or Helix XDR?
So the demo, and this is Gus, I'll take the question. The demo for the this webinar, we used an NDR virtual instance in on-prem. The integrated sensors that we had in this demo include our NX, our IPS solution, and then also PX. So those are the three sensors that we're doing cross-sensor correlation for our investigative workflows.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that one as well. Are there any additional licenses required if we already own NX to have the NDR solution?
Yeah, I can take. Oh, you want to take it, Owen? Go ahead.
Yeah, I can take that. Yeah. So at the moment we have our licensing does require an additional NDR license to get the machine learning modules and the asset discovery on NDR. In Q1 next year, we will be rolling out new bundles, which will incorporate the NDR sensor. So there will be a migration path from your NX sensor if you want to get down that path to migrate it to an NDR sensor to get an all-encompassing single license for your sensors plus the NDR sensors plus NDR module as one big combination. But today, if you're using the existing NX use cases, you just layer on a license for NDR.
Got it. Okay, perfect. Thank you for that one as well. It looks like that's all the questions that we had for today's session. I want to thank everyone for joining today's webinar, and a big thank you to our speakers, Gus, Tom, and Owen. As a reminder, a link to today's recorded presentation will be emailed to all registered attendees. This concludes today's webinar. Stay safe, everyone.